When I woke up in the fortress of distortion, I'm at war with my emotions. I'm coming home now. I'm coming home. Right where I belong now. Right where I belong.
Wait, so how many of us are there?
Aaron Davis, age 33. He has a criminal record and an address here in Queens.
Let's pay him a visit.
I don't want those weapons in this neighborhood. I got a nephew who live here.
No. Come fix this.
2 hours. You deserve that.
I got ice cream in
You
here,
deserve
man.
that. You're a criminal. Bye, Mr. Criminal.
Hey everybody, welcome to Marvel's Spider-Verse. Let's break this down. If you're just finding me for the first time, be sure to subscribe to get everything. We do Marvel every week. There's going to be crazy Infinity War stuff and Black Panther happening really soon. And because of all the Star Wars stuff that's happening, I'm doing an IMAX ticket giveaway that I'll explain at the end of the video. So this is the Miles Morales movie that they were teasing a long time ago. People didn't know how it was going to work, which characters they were going to be doing, or that it would be a Spider-Verse movie. So there are a couple characters that'll sound real familiar. Aaron and Jefferson Davis will figure heavily into the film. Aaron Davis is the character during Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2, Number 1, that became the Iron Spider eventually. So he's actually Miles Morales' uncle, brother to Miles' father, Aaron Davis, who's also supposed to be involved in the movie somehow. There's a very notable Easter egg for the Kingpin, so because of this Fisk sign, I'm assuming Kingpin will be one of the villains of the movie, or at least a big character in the universe, and maybe the villain of a subsequent movie. Maybe they'll just tease him. We don't know how Green Goblin is going to figure into this, but because it's Spider-Verse, I would assume Ultimate Spider-Man comic book logic that they're all in there somewhere. There's a sign on the bus that says The Spoiler. That's actually a Spider-Man villain from the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, so we'll see how he figures into the movie too. They haven't said too much about the other villains of the film, but just this Fisk spoiler stuff seems like it's going to be a pretty big deal. And then obviously Aaron Davis Prowler, who we also see in the trailer. But as you can see, they're kind of doing the Ultimate Spider-Man storyline where it seems like Peter Parker has died and he's taken up the mantle, so it sounds like they're being true to that. But probably the most important part of this trailer is the very end where he says, wait a minute, how many of us are there? So we'll see many different versions of Spider-Man. And the funny thing about this, getting really meta with the Spider-Man Tom Holland Homecoming Easter eggs, is that Donald Glover, who plays the Prowler, Aaron Davis, in the live-action universe, also did the voice of Miles Morales in the TV show's version of Into the Spider-Verse.
So you're not dead? I'm not what now? Okay, don't freak out. Huh? My name is Miles Morales, and I'm Spider-Man.
So it's getting really nuts. Now, the TV shows don't have continuity with what's going on in the movies, and obviously this is a multiverse story, so it's happening in conjunction with the live-action films. It's probably going to be its own franchise, but that explains how they can do this at the same time with the live-action stuff and have a live-action version of Miles Morales exist in the MCU. Most of you probably realize when he was talking to the Prowler in that garage scene where he says, I have a nephew in this neighborhood, he was talking about Miles Morales. He wanted to help Spider-Man clean up all the guns that the Vulture was selling so that it would be safer for his nephew, Miles Morales. But what it seems like the animated movie is doing is we see the Prowler riding on a bike and Miles is swinging after him. It seems like the Aaron Davis will be the early version of the character who's still the Prowler and has not become the Iron Spider yet, which means that this version of Peter that he's talking to in the train station is probably from a different universe because we saw the tombstone. So sometime during the course of the summer or maybe late in the year, he gets bit by the spider. If you don't know the Miles Morales origin story, he got the spider bite just like Peter Parker, but the way he got it was sort of an Easter egg for the origin of Peter Parker. So there were a bunch of people in a lab that were trying to clone the spiders that gave Peter the spider bite, and his uncle was hired to steal some of that. While he was at his home, one of the spiders got away, crawled up, and bit Miles. You'd have to imagine in the MCU live-action version, you'd have Donald Glover being hired to steal a bunch of spiders from Oscorp, one of them getting away and biting his nephew, and that's how they get to Miles Morales' Spider-Man. But for those of you asking about when they're going to get to Miles in the live-action universe, I think the idea is that it'll be a long ways off just because Peter is so young. Like seriously, they're getting ready to shoot Spider-Man Homecoming 2 in June of next year. That movie will come out, they'll probably decide what they're going to do with the third movie in that franchise. Then maybe after the 5th Avengers movie, if Tom Holland is still playing the character, and he's much older by that point, he'll be like a 30-something Spider-Man, then they can introduce the idea of Miles Morales and maybe give him the spider bite and do that in a movie. But from the way that Kevin Feige talks about it, he's like, oh yeah, we'll definitely get to it, but he has no plans to do that right now. There was also a bunch of other Marvel Studios stuff that they did at Brazil Comic-Con. That's where they dropped this trailer. They confirmed that Loki would be probably pretending to work with Thanos during Infinity War. He said that Loki would be an agent of Thanos, but I think the idea is that he's just pretending to work for him so the Black Order doesn't chop his head off, then double-cross him and help the Avengers sometime down the road. But that aside, Kevin Feige also teased that there would be more Avengers in outer space in the movies beyond Avengers 4. So that's just Phase 4 stuff that we haven't got to yet. We don't really know what they're going to do with the 5th Avengers film, but I'm expecting Spider-Man to come back for that. I think that Tom Holland will stick around because he's so young right now. He could play Spider-Man for another 10 years if he wanted to. Part of the idea, I think, is that they're slowly passing the mantle, which sort of paves the way for Miles Morales. So you have Tony Stark, who sees a lot of himself in Spider-Man. Hopefully, when Spider-Man gets older, he will take a more Tony Stark type role, maybe inherit part of his company. Then when they eventually introduce a bunch of new younger characters, he can kind of pass the mantle to Miles Morales without completely leaving the universe. I don't think that they would try to kill Peter Parker in the MCU just to introduce Miles Morales. I think they would find some other backdoor way to explain how they can both exist. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about all this? What do you think about the animated franchise? The interesting thing is that this was done by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, the guys that got fired off of the Han Solo movie. They make amazing movies, but the way they make films and TV shows was a big problem for Lucasfilm, which is why they ended up leaving the movie and they brought in Ron Howard. So speaking of which, in related Star Wars news, the premiere is tonight. The embargo for that movie is up on Tuesday, so that's when my non-spoilery Last Jedi review will post. So everybody, make sure you go see Star Wars next week because we're going to be talking about it for a long time. There's a new round of that IMAX ticket giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave a comment about Spider-Man on the video. Congratulations to the winner from my last video, Sith Sin. Please private message me so I can get your contact details. There'll be a new round when I post a new Marvel video. So you can click here to rewatch the Infinity War trailer, and you can click here for brand new Star Wars The Last Jedi. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.